Investors are essentially, when looking for new growth businesses, looking for something that's going to make them a lot of money. They essentially want to be excited about a story which, if it goes well, will shoot the lights out. And they have to see in the presentation somebody says, yes, if that happens, I can really make a great success here. Everybody knows you've got a 1 in 10 chance probably of it happening at best. So you've got to spread your risks, but if you don't see that opportunity, you don't do it. And it's the entrepreneur who persuades them that that opportunity is there. If there's a really inspiring, energetic person who knows everything there is to know, you find yourself getting on board with them.
The government can do a lot more to stimulate investment. Particularly, they need to make sure that there is a range of options available to businesses. So there's obviously an important role for the banking sector. There's obviously an important role for equity finance. But there's also a key role for government. And when you compare what we do in this country to support small and medium-sized businesses to gain access to finance with what our competitors are doing in Germany and in America, for example, you will see that the government-backed equity schemes that they have in America make investment a far more attractive and slightly less risky process.
The Business Growth Fund is a significant new addition of long-term capital for smaller companies. We have £2.5 billion, which even in this day and age is a lot of money. And we are looking to invest in smaller companies right across the UK, investing between £2 and £10 million, always for a minority stake. So we're really a long-term growth capital partner to invest in a wide range of British companies.
I think there's absolutely an appetite for private equity and venture capitalists to invest in SMEs throughout Britain. I think there's always been an appetite there, and now more than ever they're finding that there might be slightly more opportunity for a couple of reasons. First of all, economic downturns often produce fantastic entrepreneurial ideas, so I'm told by a number of investors, people who feel the need to think of new ways to fund themselves and their families. Additionally, economic downturns often mean, especially now more than ever, banks are less willing to lend to the SMEs, which creates a new opportunity for private equity firms.
The current financial climate is certainly challenging for growth companies in general. There's no doubt about that. But the feedback that we're getting from our members is that if a business is strong enough, it's got a great proposition, it's being, and most importantly, I think as we learnt from the event on what works for growth investors and what doesn't, I think one of the primary things that came out of that is it's the quality of the individuals leading those businesses. And these are entrepreneurs who will find solutions to problems almost regardless of the economic climate.
In terms of the public sector's involvement, I don't think that there's a major role. I think it's much more important for example, the professional institutes to come up with very clear guidelines so that when, for example, an accountant is deciding how to prepare a company for due diligence, or more particularly an external accountancy firm is doing accounting due diligence on a deal, that it's focused on the right things rather than endless amounts of legitimate, but in the end detailed and not necessarily decisive paperwork. So I think it's all about bang for buck, efficiency, both with time and money.
We need to see the Business Growth Fund being bigger, being more quickly invested, if it's going to be a really significant factor in helping small and medium-sized businesses to be the engine of growth.
As far as what else the Chancellor can do to stimulate the investment in growth businesses is concerned, there's a great many things that he could do. The question is, what will he actually choose to do, and how many of those things will create more value than effectively they'll cost for the taxpayer.
The government can make the circumstances for investing, the background, better. And they can take away quite a lot of the obstacles to running a small business. I mean, the amount of legislation that affects small businesses that shouldn't, and are obstacles to taking on people, you just have to look at the various taxes on employment, and the various sort of employment regulations. Personally, I'd like to see the entirety of these regulations exempted for companies employing less than 500 people. And then they would really change the environment for starting small businesses.
I think the key thing that business wants is confidence, and confidence will come from consistency and stability. We've had all the problems in Europe that are well recognized. I think as companies look forward, they need to invest for the future, and that means having a long-term perspective which comes from confidence. So if the Chancellor can continue to reinforce why the economy is going to grow, why we have a stable economy which is well poised over the next few years, that will be the signal the small companies want. We will provide the capital to help them to invest, and there has never been a better time to invest. And the smaller companies of today that invest in a downturn will be the bigger companies of tomorrow.